I would just always want to empty the tank, as they would say in triathlons, to make sure when you go to bed at night, you did everything within your power to give as best an experience
Yes.
up across the board as possible.
Maybe that's why we get along.
Yes, I think we have a lot to do with that.
Yes. Hello and welcome to my podcast, Let's Be Real. I, Bee Powell, Bee Realty Corp, am your host, and today I have the pleasure of having Donnie Pingaro with me, and he has an amazing story about where he started in real estate. We're going to hear some interesting stories from Fisher Island, and you will be amazed to see how he built his business and what we have in common, which is giving white glove service, the customer experience, and building a great team that can deliver awesome results. So I'm super happy to enjoy having you here at our podcast. Donnie, welcome.
Thank you, Bee. Thanks so much for inviting me. What an honor and privilege. This is a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you making the trip all the way out here to DeLand.
Easy trip from Amelia Island. Easy.
From Amelia Island. That's great. So the first thing I want to ask you, Donnie, is who is Donnie and what is your background?
Wow. Yeah. So who is Donnie? I'm just a guy who came down to Florida here for grad school and fell in love with the state and never left. I got my master's down at University of Miami, go Canes, long ago. I saw the opportunity within the state of Florida back in the 90s, long ago. We only had sunshine and tourism. There was really not much industry. There was not much growth. But I grew up in the Northeast, so kind of a little more hyperspeed kind of work ethic from growing up. Knew that if you hustled really hard, you can make an impact on an industry really quickly. And that's when I got into real estate, kind of by mistake, long ago. And it's been a great run, doing many things, meeting many really cool people in my career here in real estate.
Yeah, so I think we had a conversation a while back, and you mentioned that it was by accident.
Totally.
So tell us more about that. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And it's funny, when we talk about to a lot of our other colleagues, it's usually my first question I want to ask everybody who's in real estate is like, how did you get into real estate? Because so few who are real estate professionals, like at 5 years old, said, I want to sell houses, right? My particular story was just, again, I played tennis through college, and then I went to grad school for more education to get my MBA, but really I wasn't ready for adult life yet, like a lot of us are in our early 20s, what have you. Had a great time, got some great new nuggets of information at University of Miami down there. And I'd always been in the food and beverage business, working in restaurants at high-end clubs, because it was just easy. You didn't have to take away from your school, you didn't have to take away from your social. Mm-hmm. The pay was very good. And at that point, the market was not really good for a white-collar job with no experience. So here I am. I'm ready to go. I've got a suit. I got a tie. I got a degree, and no one's hiring. So I, back in the day, they used to have, long ago, jobs were in newspapers. And I went to a job fair from a newspaper in the Miami Herald. It said it was a place called Fisher Island. I've never heard of it. I went to the job fair, and the next day, the food and beverage manager said, you've been running restaurants for 7 years. You have an MBA. Why do you want to be a bartender? I'm like, well, that's what I saw in the paper. He calls me out there, asked me to be assistant manager of one of his restaurants. I'm like, fantastic. Let's give this a shot. And when I went over on the ferry the first time, I was like blown away. I never knew something like this existed. Fisher Island's an amazing community down there. Private island. If anybody have been down there, had the pleasure. It's great. And I knew that first day. I was like, there's a better play here than just being assistant manager here for the summer. A year later, I got my real estate license, started leveraging my contacts, my relationships from learning some of the people on the island, and away we went.
So did you ever live on the island?
I never technically lived on the island. That was kind of a strategic play from a lot of realtors who wanted to penetrate that marketplace. I felt like I lived on the island. I was probably there 364 days a year or so. But I always felt it was important for me personally to have that space to sleep somewhere different than in your marketplace or in your office, for that matter.
Yeah. So you did not really seek out the luxury market. It happened because you were in the restaurant business.
Yeah, it was again, I was very fortunate when I was in the restaurant business. I was always in, high-end restaurants or private clubs. So I was in that realm of again, understanding what high-end service and boutique service really looks like. So it was kind of within my DNA at that juncture. So getting to real estate, I had a very different outlook and perspective as to what a client or buyer or seller would want to be delivered to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can imagine how many homes are on Fisher Island.
Well, it's still growing. They're still building right now, and it's predominantly condos. So when I started, there was about 500 or so condos. They have about 775 today. There's one building being built, and another building will be built. The last building will be built like 2030. So it'll be a total of like 800 homes at some juncture. Yeah.
So I only know Fisher Island from taking the boat tour in, Miami, and you drive past the big homes that are on the water.
Correct.
So that's my only introduction to Fisher Island. So I'm just intrigued hearing, it from your perspective, how that community is like and operates.
It's honestly like a little bit like Fantasy Island, because it's the instant you get there, it's just so manicured, and peacocks are running wild and bunny rabbits, and anytime some friends would come on over, and we've got to get you over there, B, to enjoy the island yourself sometime very soon. It's really something that is incredibly different, hard to believe exists, and frankly will never be replicated again. And people would come to me over decades and say, well, if I don't purchase in Fish Island, where do I purchase? And I'm like, you know what? Like, the EPA is never going to let someone dredge out and build an island like this ever again on the East Coast, on the Atlantic Ocean. So it does have that really big barrier to entry in terms of being super, super bespoke, wonderful international presence. So again, it has a very, very different dynamic and flow day to day for all the residents and guests who come there.
How were you received as sort of a young guy?
Yeah.
They know you as running the restaurant,
Yeah.
and now you have your real estate license.
Yeah.
And how did that unfold? How did you get the foot in the door?
I just hustle and grit. I did everything wrong the first couple of years, like most of us do in real estate. That's a sneaky thing. Some people who are in the real estate world understand not everybody gets a real estate license and gets great training in terms of how to really transact, how to really write a contract properly, how to follow up and get condo approval prior to closing. I did not. My first closing, we went to the closing table, did not have condo approval, had to come back the next day. Tough start. Deal number one. Sorry, Dr. McIntyre. But we did close 15722 after all. So yeah, it was just really trying to be super personable, out hustling, and just never saying no to whatever that need would be for someone. And again, that demographic, that was their third, fourth, or fifth home. Very, very, maybe 50 people was their primary residence. So they have a different set of wants and needs in terms of just making it easy.
Right.
And myself and my team, we built that to do that across the entire platform, not just in real estate for them.
Right. So you're touching on a couple of things, of course, that I'm very passionate about, and that is the relationship, the customer experience that you deliver, and the needs. So not only filling the need, but also anticipating the need. Right.
Absolutely.
And so you ran, or you were like a boutique brokerage?
Yes,
Is that
correct.
Is that right?
8 to 20 agents at some point in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And most were part-timers,
Yeah.
So.
And boutique brokerage is it's somewhat overused word sometimes, because really, to me, what it says is boutique to me means an elevated level of customer service. I like to use the word customer experience because it's really about what they experience, not so much what I give as a service.
Love that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Use that.
You use that, yeah.
I will, yes.
So I want to hone in on that. If you could give me like one of your best stories about filling a need, giving a great customer experience, and going the extra mile for your customer.
Oh my goodness. Well, before I talk about the customer, what you said about the experience, I think it relates also to our team, right? The boutique experience is not only for the consumer, it's for the teammates that are doing the admin in our office, that are doing, everybody who's in that whole chain of quality and goodness. I think it's really important to remember, if you're truly doing it as a boutique, that's super important for your success. In terms of like things that we would go above and beyond, I used to kid around, we live in the Southeast. Hurricanes are a real thing. And, that was usually the first question someone who would come in from Brazil or from France or from Long Island, for that matter, be like, well, what do you do about a hurricane?
Right.
And, I said, And it was realistic. If you look at statistics, the statistical chance of a hurricane making landfall from Texas to New Jersey, it's exactly the same. It really, truly is statistically over a 100-year span. So it doesn't happen very frequently, but it is Mother Nature. You have to take it very seriously. And I would always guarantee them, and it was true, I would always be the first on the first ferry across. So there was the port of Miami. The port captain would close down the port channel if winds got over 35 miles an hour. But I would always be there as the first person there to make sure to go around and say, "Oh, yep, you got a palm tree in your pool. Your windows are okay. Oh, I happen to see a golf cart floating in the marina. It's really rough. We'll take care of this for you." And it was very comforting for people on that side of it. On a transactional side, one of the cool things we did a couple times, three times for that matter, we called them blank check deals. And again, when you do work at a certain specific community that only specific like views or floor plans are available, you will be in situations where a buyer will be looking for a certain commodity and they all of a sudden say, "Stop, what's that?" You say, "Well, that's a penthouse there in the southeast corner, 7,000 square feet. I want that." "Well, it's not in the market today, but I can keep you abreast." No, I want that unit. I want that home. So we did, over my career, 3 different blank check deals where I would get the confidence and trust from my buyer to be able to knock on a door through my relationships, get a conversation with the seller who had no interest in selling whatsoever before I walked in that door, and have a blank contract and said,
What does it take?
"B, if you file in that number, I have a check here. He's going to close for you." And we did that 3 different times, and that was really cool. It's a very nerve-wracking kind of situation because it's not for everybody to receive that. But again, it was a win-win 3 different
Yes.
times that way, and
Yes.
record deals each time for that matter, for
Yes.
that reason.
I
Yeah.
would totally be up for that.
Yes.
I definitely have the nerves for it.
Yes.
But I appreciate what you're saying, that responsibility, when somebody trusts you so much, and that can be big deals like you had, but it can also happen on a much smaller level. I feel that responsibility, honestly, with seniors, that they have to rely on you so much. They trust me so much that I sometimes wonder, oh gosh, I'm so glad I'm their agent. I'm their go-to person, because somebody could completely take advantage of the situation. And I take that so seriously, that trust that they have in me, that it's humbling. It really is.
Yeah, I think trust is super, super imperative at that level
Yeah.
of service, and of what was the word? What was the term used?
Customer experience.
Experience, in terms of that customer
The customer
experience.
experience.
And we had a similar. We used to again work with our clients for legacy clients, and we'd had dozens and hundreds of instances. They'd always give us a key, and they'd always have their own housekeeper or plant person or whatever it would be to have access to their home. But we were the ones who got the call from the wife and said, "Hey, we have a special dinner at the yacht club, and my husband forgot his special yacht club tie. Can you go get it and FedEx it for us?" Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, is that part of the real estate obligation? Absolutely not. But were myself and my team happy and encouraged folks to lean on us for that? Absolutely so.
Yes, we do the same thing. And I think, to me, it makes more sense. I don't want to have a transactional business. I want to have a relational business, and I enjoy going above and beyond. I mean, that's what we do, right? So can I share a story with you?
Please.
Okay, so I sold a home. We had the sellers, a difficult situation, and I remember this clearly. It was Thanksgiving, and the buyer closed in the evening. It got later in the evening, closed in the afternoon. They got to the house, and the seller wasn't out. And me and my assistant showed up, and we were carrying all of their belongings out onto the front lawn because they had to be out. So that's how we spent our Thanksgiving. It wasn't probably Thanksgiving the day before, evening, to make sure that that new buyer can go in, because I'm responsible for it,
Sure.
right? And sometimes we have to do these things.
Yeah. No, those are great moments.
They are.
Yeah.
Because they will never remember you, the agent. They will remember that you put together the crib for the child.
It was one of my famous sayings I love saying when I do some public speaking is, they'll always forget what you said, They will always forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. I
Exactly.
think Maya Angelou, but I love that. It's just the essence of that, of building that bond at a very different level than just being transactional. Anybody can write a contract,
Yeah.
right? It's really, that's what elevates a true real estate professional who really brings value to the consumer and their community accordingly.
So for your customers, for instance, what would you say is like a non-negotiable in terms of customer service?
Non-negotiable. In terms of from me or from how I
From
would direct
you,
him?
like that, from your delivery of
From my
service.
delivery, like I would always empty out my voicemail, text message, email by the end of the day, and I would try to do everything within an hour. In all honesty, it's funny. In my last role, one of my more successful teams, a great story. Two great guys who started out as a $20 million producers in the Miami market. They now have a $150 million brokerage, right? So I'm super proud of these guys. And they used to kid around. They're like, "Hey, Donnie, like I think you're not really reviewing our documents. You return everything so quickly to us." And I said, "No, it's really me. I just care that much about you guys. Like I know how important that is for you and your clients and your teammate." And when I resigned that last position, a month later, we were having lunch, and you're like, "You know what? I never really believed you. And the new broker is really great, but they're not as responsive, and it
Yeah.
matters
Yes.
to agents and to consumers. It's a big responsibility I think we take on again in terms of that entire experience
Yeah.
for them, and I think timeliness is the most important thing for me.
Yeah. So I was going to say communication, which of course has to do with responsiveness.
Yeah,
And yeah, I agree with you. So, and it's kind of it's kind of fun that consumers they don't care, right? They call me at 10 o'clock at night.
right.
I always say you can call me any time of the day. If I want to sleep, my phone is off, right?
That's fair.
So, a question: do you record your voicemail stating when you are available?
I do not personally. I actually, a horrible thing. I'm terrible at voicemail. I'm a big text person, and I try to be that way up front to a new colleague, a new connection, a new consumer, to say, how would you like to be communicated with? I'm going to be as responsive as humanly possible. Text is the best way to reach me. Please don't voicemail me. So I don't really leverage voicemail personally
Yes. Okay.
for that reason.
Okay. So, how do you do it all, Johnny? How do you keep all these balls in the air? I mean, I've experienced, we've known each other for
A couple of years now,
yeah,
yeah.
a few years, and we've become friends.
Yeah.
We have been exchanging a lot about real estate, and I mean, you've always been there for me, and you know so many people, and I'm sure you are extending that kindness to other, people around you. So how do you do it all?
I it's just who I am personally, and I when I talk to my teammates, I say I think real estate you need to have a certain level of obsession, right?
It's very true.
And
Yeah.
in a healthy way. We don't want to get to unhealthy. We want to have guidelines and all. But if I go for a light run or a walk in the morning, I'm probably listening to a podcast about real estate.
Yes.
A little bit of a nerdness into that, but I think that's who I've always been in terms of if I played tennis in college, if I was, participating in triathlons competitively, I would just always want to empty the tank, as they would
Yes.
say in triathlons, to make sure when you go to bed at night, you did everything within your power to give as best of an experience
Yes.
up across the board as possible.
Maybe that's why we get along.
Yes, I think we have a lot to do with that.
Yes, yes, I too. Anything I listen to, it's always real estate related. I always try to engage in anything to do with real estate. Always learning
Yeah.
and listening to podcasts and talks.
And there's so much to learn too,
There-
right?
there is. It never stops.
It's not a stagnant business,
Yeah.
which again, that's either going to dissuade you or you're going to dive deep like you and I do into that.
Yeah. So speaking of change,
Yes.
AI,
Yes.
the real estate, it's just the
Yes.
real estate industry has changed so much, especially in
Yes.
the last couple of years.
Yes.
And it continues to change.
Faster and faster.
Yes, faster and faster.
Yeah.
So AI is just one part of it,
One
but
component, yeah.
we have other changes as well. So how do you keep up with all of it? And how in a very fast changing industry, how do you keep the personal touch in there?
Yeah. So again, I love to absorb information. I'll go back to my University of Miami days, way back. Although I'm not using my MBA background as a financial analyst, I'm not on Wall Street clearly. The way a handful of friends of mine who do have MBAs that are in real estate, we kind of all think differently. And what I mean by that is we've come to the conclusion is we see dots on a wall together that people don't even see the dots, and we see them and we stitch them together. So just with the way we were trained to analyze and learn things. So I think I've been very fortunate to have that kind of ability to, in a very fast changing industry, to be able to adapt, but also clear out the noise too. We've talked about it. I think I've attended more conferences than anybody in the last decade. I've been to every Inman and you name it I've been to, and it's great, but there's a lot of noise at those kind of conferences. Another thing is I've really tried to find quality relationships like yourself to talk about quality professionals and kind of just check in and see what's going on. And I think when you can have trusted colleagues that you know are at your level, or hopefully you can find folks even smarter than that. You want to get that right room where you're not the smartest person and ask really probing questions. You know, what are you hearing? What is nonsense that we're hearing right now? And there's a lot of nonsense out there. Affecting a lot of our agents. You know, I mean, I'd love to hear about your agents, but I mean, a lot of agents that I talk to right now, their biggest gripe is too much technology. I'm with a company and I feel like every 30 days they throw something else at me and I can't make heads or tails of anything. So again, technology can be a tool, but it can also be an anchor in my mind. What do your agents feel like in terms of technology? Are they comfortable at this point or still learning? Like,
They're still learning. Yes. They do not like to be overwhelmed with too much technology, quite frankly. And I use technology. Of course, we are all in the age of ChatGPT now, which can be used in a lot of great ways, as long as you don't get complacent. And you let it do the things that it can do, and now suddenly everybody looks the same, right? So the same.
Well, that's one fear and concern. The other side, and again, talking big picture about our industry recently, I mean, the amount of litigation that has been in our industry in the last 3 to 5 years is unparalleled. Right. And that's been at the enterprise level. That's been at the NAR level. You know, the Zillow Compass Holy War. But we're seeing it. I just had a complaint come in from a consumer, one of my agents. It was a 120-page complaint. Went to Tallahassee. It was not an accurate complaint. However, this is the concern I have as a professional. That was clearly put into ChatGPT by a consumer at 11 o'clock at night on their own at home, right? 3 years ago, without the use of AI and that access to information, technically, they would have had to engage in a professional attorney to draft a professional complaint. There would have been some checks and balances there. So again, that's another part of the technology swing, which is a little bit dangerous. And I think it's a lot that us industry leaders need to kind of guide our agents accordingly to be wise about.
So you have been around for a while in real estate, so you've seen different cycles. I've seen a few cycles.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Not too much surprises me, and we weather the storm, right?
Yeah.
So
most do.
Some do, some don't.
Part of business.
Yes. So what do you see coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, so great question. Let's talk Florida as a whole, right? And, you know, we talk about this a lot. Florida has a lot of different regionality. You know, Miami, where I did most of my transaction for 25 plus years. I mean, that's like the epitome of the high and low market space there. So the highs were higher than everywhere else in the country. The lows are lower. You know, places like Central Florida are kind of just starting to have a little bit of seasonality in terms of ups and downs with the marketplace. And you go up to the Panhandle up by 30A, which is a market I never knew about until like 2021 in person. And they're a little more stable because they're a drive-in market. So I think there's a little bit more kind of like micro markets. I think some of the markets which are more resilient seem to be Central Florida to Northeast Florida, the Panhandle. You know, we've seen a lot of press about like Southwest Florida and Tampa. I think that's a little bit more storm related. You know, the insurance crisis in Florida is real. Anybody who's been looking to get insurance is seeing if you can get insurance, it's significantly more than it was a couple of years ago. And that's definitely hurting things above and beyond the interest rates. But at the end of the day, like I feel personally, as I traveled through the state of Florida, COVID really transformed our state. like we've always had this is an amazing place to live. It's an amazing place to build a family and make an impact in your community. But for decades, people would have a high percentage of people were snowbirds, vacation homeowners. They'd come in, do the parks and Disney. That's fantastic for revenue and for tourism, but it doesn't have the same buy-in, that someone who just says, this is my home. I'm going to be here for a generation, right? And I feel COVID changed a lot of the population's mindsets, where the people who moved in through COVID, yes, some did depart, and that's natural. When you have such a big influx of population, say, the palm trees and sunshine are great, but it's not good for me, and that's okay. But I feel the people that have moved in for the most part have now really made significant roots, right? And you're seeing the differences in the communities in terms of like the commitment to the arts and the schools and the parks, like down here in downtown DeLand here at the historic district here. I mean, it's really amazing how much this specific town has grown. And I feel it's a lot of the stability of the population as a whole. So when you talk about where the trends are going, I think that we're in a more stable kind of community, which is fantastic. And we're now into a little more economic kind of ripples opposed to spikes higher and lower that way. But I feel very, very strong in general in Florida as a whole over the next 2-3 years as some of the economy, macroeconomy helps out a little bit. Some of the areas that are being a little overbuilt, that's where I'd be a little bit cautious of.
Right. So in general, you have a positive outlook. Values are going to stay. A couple of ripples.
I think values will increase. I think someone who's looking into an area that's seeing so much growth so fast, that's where I'd be a little cautious.
Okay.
In Central Florida, and there's a bunch up in southern Jacksonville for that matter that are just 5,000 new homes are going to be built here over the next 6 or 7 years. There's a place called Wildlight. It's 13 miles long along 95, and it looks beautiful, the plans for the walking trails and the kayaks. But when you infuse that much that quickly, that always concerns me personally.
Yes, because the infrastructure is not there, the schools are not there, the hospitals are not there. So that's always a concern. We see that here too.
Right. Yeah, and I think Florida just in general is prone to developers because our land costs in general are fairly inexpensive. Once you get past Palm Beach, the building costs are relatively affordable for the builders. So it's an attractive opportunity to grow a larger community. But I think that's where a great realtor comes in and can talk through with that buyer and saying, let's really understand where you and your family are most comfortable with.
Right.
Let's talk about the pros and the cons here.
Yes.
It's never all pros, right? Never.
Never.
Have you ever sold a house that had nothing but pros?
No.
No, right? Exactly. But how many realtors were afraid to talk about the cons and be honest with their buyers?
You have to. And that's where integrity and authenticity comes in, right? And that's why I chose the title for this podcast as "Let's Be Real."
Let's be real. I love it.
Let's be real and be honest and straightforward. So, of course, I'm German, so you get all the straightforwardness.
Yes, you do.
So I'm direct, and I think it's very important to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you are, like I said, you have seen all the cycles already.
Many cycles, not all of them.
Many cycles. Here we go again. How do you stay grounded and still stay inspired, staying in the industry, and also finding new paths in the industry?
Yeah. I think it's one of those weird things. Like you either enjoy being in that mix or don't. So again, I'm going to go back to my younger years when I was competing as a triathlete. There's a saying embrace the suck, because at some point of the day it's going to suck. And the athletes who embrace that and say, I know it's going to come, it's going to hurt, but I'm going to get through this. It's going to be okay.
Yes.
I'm proud to say I can still say my standing heart rate's still in the 40s, in my late 50s. So I think from experience and just enjoying the fact that it's going to be okay allows me to take things a little more relaxed than most. I have a ton of colleagues who love calling me with their hair on fire from all over the country because they know I'm going to diffuse them in 5 minutes just listening to them. And sometimes I don't even say anything.
Yes. And that's what you do.
It's what I do. It comes very naturally. But on the masochist side, when these cycles happen, I get kind of excited because chaos creates opportunity.
You're taking the words out of my mouth.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, it's so
Well,
true.
what I say, never waste a good crisis. And that's true. And that's where leaders rise. And yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Changes progress.
I mean, if you read some of the press, you talk to somebody junior ages who may not have the skill set or the confidence or struggling, you would think we're not selling a house in the state of Florida, right? Like we're still going to sell almost 4 million homes across the United States. 4 million new homes for families. That's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not 5.9 that it was around in COVID, right? It's less opportunity, but it's still a lot of opportunity. And good professionals will always be there to
Yeah.
really service and help the consumers do good things with new homes.
Okay. So I'm now going to transition to my lightning round.
Okay,
I'm going to
let's
fire
do it.
some questions at you.
Get a sip.
So, first of all, what's your favorite candy bar?
Definitely one of my go-tos is like a Butterfinger, nice hard D1. Just like that.
Just
Bingo.
like that. Bingo.
All right. Thank you.
Here's your
B.
Butterfinger.
All right.
You need the energy after this
Yes, thank you.
lengthy interview. Give me 3 non-negotiables for a dream house for you.
3 non-negotiables for a dream house for me. Need to have, for me personally, privacy, some level of view of nature. You know, I like to spend a lot of time outdoors, so to be outdoors and to have quietness there. I guess high ceilings. My last house had 22-foot ceilings, and this one has 18-foot ceilings. So I guess I'm a high ceilings guy as a non-negotiable as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. We don't want to have the ranch bungalow, the ranch house with the low ceilings.
I love them, but just I think our results kind of show what really matters to us, and clearly that matters to me. 2 for 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you would describe your life today in one word, what would it be?
I would say a giver. That's the best I
giver?
could do.
Okay.
Yeah, because I always want to give as much as I can to my teammates, to my organization, and to my clients. So that would probably be
Okay.
closest for one.
Morning routine, coffee or workout?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
In which order?
Depends. Yeah, I'm an early riser, and as we've talked about, I have a 15-year-old, so some days I have to be a little more assertive to get my teen to get ready for school, and other days she's a little more autopilot. So she's my why. So depending on where she needs will depend my lifestyle and my exercise will fit in accordingly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Can you remember a book that really shaped your mindset?
A book to really shape my mindset.
Anything spring to mind? I mean, we read a lot. You and I both read a lot.
Yeah. So a dear friend of mine in New York, Scott Harris, is an amazing realtor and brokerage owner. He just put out a book. He's been talking about it for 6 months, and it just got launched on Amazon yesterday. I ordered it first day. I don't know the name of it, but Scotty Harris. That's all about, again, real estate and just how to do it with heart the right way.
Okay.
But we'll get you down for the liner notes, the actual name.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you ever got in real estate?
But in real, wow, I can't say I've gotten great advice in real estate. I learned a lot by the hard ways, but I learned a lot from my clients. And I can't say it was advice, but I remember this one client specifically from Minneapolis, Ron Burton, rest in peace, wonderful gentleman, incredible businessman. He really was hard on me, and he was really hard on me to teach me how to negotiate really hard for him. And I wouldn't say I would use those negotiation tactics on every deal, but that's probably 30 years ago now. And I remember Ron sitting me down in the office and saying, "This is how we're doing this." And I'm really grateful for the people that I surrounded myself that were non-real estate people that taught me a lot of great life and business lessons accordingly, and vice versa. So
Yes.
That's
and
probably
that's
best.
and that's what it's about.
yeah.
So this is a wrap, Donnie. I
That's a wrap.
appreciate you being here.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And I hope you enjoyed it. This was a fantastic talk about not only the market, but the background of Donnie, luxury market, how he got there. And then we dove into community and learning, right? So hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you on the next podcast.